Welcome to the Ascend program, Unit 12, Accelerating Results. The focus of this unit is to deliver better results faster by setting defined objectives, tracking performance measures, and increasing accountability. We'll learn the difference between an activity versus results-oriented mindset. We will focus on the difference between outcomes and deliverables, and we will identify key indicators of performance and find ways to track those regularly. Adopting a results mindset is critical to achieving results. Are you activity or results driven? Most people fill their days with lots of activities. Managers come to meetings ready to report what they have done. Most workers find satisfaction in checking off items in their to-do lists. Being active does not necessarily mean that you are being productive. In fact, being busy is easy, being productive is much harder. The activity mindset likes to keep track of the tasks you're doing. It takes pleasure in checking off tasks from a to-do list. The activity mindset reports on the amount of time that you spend at work, the number of calls you made, the amount of emails you reply to every day, and the people you talk with. All activities, not results. A results mindset, instead, is focused on achieving results. You break down goals into measurable objectives. You measure your performance against your goals. You focus on the key activities with the highest impact on results. The results mindset holds yourself accountable only to the goal. The amount of effort required to achieve the goal is inconsequential. All that matters is your performance relative to that goal. I have found many organizations where the focus is clearly on activities. Activities are reported at meetings. Activities are tracked. What they measure is how busy people are. And people are very busy as a result of that focus. These organizations may or may not achieve results. And when they don't know how to influence the outcome. On the other hand, there are organizations that are clearly results-driven. They have clear goals. They measure performance against goals. They give people much latitude in deciding how they're going to accomplish the work as long as the critical results are met. These organizations are performance-driven and they give people more freedom into what activities are required to achieve those goals. Now, in order to be results-oriented, we need to have clear goals. Deciding what we really want to achieve is one of the most difficult things we do in this life. It is also one of the most important things we can do. The single decision of setting a goal will guide a series of actions that will produce certain outcomes. When deciding what we really want, we need to clarify what exactly are our goals. When going after a goal, we need to break it down into more specific objectives. The importance of setting the right goals upfront determines the ultimate results we can or may achieve. Yet goals by themselves can prove difficult to take into action unless they're broken down into more specific, measurable, and finite objectives. The objectives are like subsets to the goal. For example, think of the situation where the goal is to finish a marathon in under 6 hours within this year. What would you do if that is your goal? Some people would say, I need to start training. I need to start running in enough miles to complete a marathon. I need to register for the race, and I may need to get in shape. Now, many times people set such a goal when they have a completely different real goal underneath that. The real goal may be to increase personal health and fitness, or lose weight, or gain the discipline for exercising regularly. Finishing a marathon within the year may or may not help you achieve those other outcomes. So clarify what is the outcome you want. For example, if the outcome is to improve personal fitness, what is the goal that most likely will produce that outcome? A goal such as regular exercise and healthy eating would be the most valuable goal for that particular outcome. Now, the activities that will come from that goal are very different than running the marathon. We may have to set time aside on a regular basis to exercise. We may have to watch the kinds of food we eat, and we may or may not run a marathon. The next step is to break down the goal into specific objectives. Goals describe a purpose for an endeavor, while objectives describe the specific actions required to accomplish the goal. Goals may not be strictly measurable or tangible. Objectives are always clearly measurable and tangible. Goals are longer term, goal objectives are shorter term. The result of a goal is an outcome, while the result of an objective is a deliverable or an output. For example, again, if the goal is to improve productivity by 15% within 6 months, the objective behind that goal could be to report status of work in daily project review meetings. Once we have identified goals and objectives, it is time to start measuring our performance. What we measure is what we get. Change the measurement and you will change the result. The measures we use create the focal point for action that produces certain results. A common measurement mistake is to confuse lead from lag indicators. Outputs are lag indicators describing what has happened. Lead indicators instead are performance measures that gauge progress towards outputs. An output is often called a deliverable, a concrete and measurable accomplishment. Back to the example of becoming physically fit. That is an outcome. By focusing on losing weight as an output, we may or may not become physically fit. Unfortunately, losing weight is a lag indicator that is controlled by various lead indicators. Focusing instead on food intake and exercise, which are lead indicators, will more likely produce the desired result of physical fitness than obsessing about our weight. Lead indicators are measures with a direct impact on the goal that we can directly influence. A lead indicator that has the greatest impact on the goal is a key indicator. One way to visualize key indicators is by imagining the levers with the greatest leverage on the goal. In identifying the key indicators, not all measures are created equal. Some measures tell us what we are currently doing, while others show us what we have accomplished. Some measures are easy to track and report, while others are very difficult to assess with any degree of accuracy. Most people and organizations tend to settle with simply measuring what appears to be more obviously measurable. Identifying key indicators requires a level of analysis and observation. In order to do this, we need to visualize the cause and effect relationship between variables. A tool for doing this is the fishbone diagram. The fishbone diagram provides a visual relationship between the goal and the many types of activities and indicators affecting that goal. Once all the indicators have been identified in the fishbone diagram, it becomes easier to define the impact that each of these indicators has on the goal. The indicators with the greatest impact on the goal are the key indicators. Once you have identified key indicators, it is time to start tracking progress using scorecards. A scorecard shows a clear connection between the goals, the objectives, and the performance measures, specifically those that are key indicators. You are ready to start tracking progress by using a scorecard when you have all these metrics figured out. Scorecards will help you visualize progress towards the goal. An effective scorecard process keeps people focused on what is most important on a regular basis. It provides a valuable accountability tool for discussing how we're doing relative to the goal. In addition, an effective scorecard is simple and easy to use and readily accessible. Some of the elements of an effective scorecard are: 1. Showing goal versus actual. 2. Identifying key indicators that have the greatest impact on the goal. Tracking regular progress on how we're doing on the key indicators, and updating results regularly, daily or at least weekly, and then making the entire scorecard and reporting process visible and easily accessible to everyone. In most organizations, we hope for certain results, measuring things that are unrelated to those results, hoping that somehow we're going to get to the result. This is a common problem. I want to illustrate that problem in my own personal life. Several years ago, my brother and I decided to start practicing triathlons. We did this entering short distance triathlons on the weekends and practicing during the weekdays, late at night. As a personal goal, I wanted to place in the top 10 for my age group. I was so hoping that I could demonstrate that I was still in good enough shape to place in the top 10. I went about training for the length of time that the race usually lasts. So that is approximately an hour and a half to 2 hours. I invested a lot of time in swimming for long hours, biking, and running. And I was surely feeling in such good shape that I was confident I would do well on race day. When race days came, I gave it my very best, finished well, and then when I looked for the results, I was surprised to find my name listed at the very bottom of the list for my age group. Oh well, I thought, this is just the first race. So I trained even harder for the next race, with very similar results. And then for the third race, and on for several years. Never once being in the top 10, but always hoping for that result and training really hard for it. I have to admit I was enjoying the overall fitness I was experiencing, and the race itself was very enjoyable. I was able to finish with confidence. But after several years of missing my initial goal, I went to a sports coach at the triathlon store and asked, the coach asked me a very simple question. He said, when you train, what do you measure? Never thought of that. I answered, I trained for the length of the race so I can make sure that I can complete the race well. The coach pointed the obvious. Says, given that, I'm sure that you can finish all your races with a smile on your face, not even tired enough to, you can go for the rest of your weekend without taking much rest. And I acknowledged that was exactly the result I was getting. Then he asked me, at what speed does a top 10 finisher run the race? I had never paid attention to that. So we looked that up online, and we found that I was biking at 16 miles per hour, while a top 10 finisher biked at 21 miles per hour. That is a significant gap. We also looked the running split. I was running at about 9 minute. I was running a 9-minute mile. We found out that a top 10 finisher was running a 7-minute mile. That's another pretty significant gap. In the swimming part, I was about par with the top 10 finishers, and he told me, I bet that you get out of the water in the top 10 place. I didn't know for sure because there's no records of that, but I was feeling very well at the start of the race, but realizing I was losing positions through the race. I was discouraged because after so many years of training, I thought I would be able to run or bike better. The coach told me I was already able to bike and run at that pace if I just measured that. He told me, go tonight to the gym and run a mile at 7 minutes. You will find that you can easily do it. Go out on the roads with your bicycle and time yourself for a few miles at 21 minutes. you will find that you can do it. Now, go to the race and focus on those metrics. I did that throughout the race, and I finished in the 9th place. The next triathlon, I finished in the 6th place. The following triathlon, I finished on the 3rd place, and I was even able to stand at the podium. The satisfaction was great. What was even more insightful was the ability that I have learned to achieve my goals by measuring the right things. The amount of training was even less than before. The amount of effort that I put into it was even less. All that had changed was that my focus was in the right metrics. Now, we have discussed the importance of measuring and tracking the right metrics, the key indicators. Once we're performing as a team, we need to learn how to hold each other accountable. Holding ourselves accountable is essential to getting others to do the same. I would like for us to consider an accountability ladder leading us towards higher levels of accountability and productive commitment. When you take responsibility, you are in charge and in greater control of the situation. You become more powerful. The steps to higher accountability are very simple. See it, own it, and solve it until it is done. The opposite leaves us powerless, acting as victims of situations. These challenges are the cause behind many teams' failures to deliver results. The common mistake is when leaders focus solely on holding others accountable, as if the problem is not theirs. They clarify expectations, expecting others to follow through without checking on their end of the agreement. The remedy is to hold each other mutually accountable. Take an inventory of your team's current level of accountability. Is your team consistently achieving its goals? Are people delivering what they have promised on time? Does everyone have a clear understanding of what they have to do? Are you reporting regularly on key performance measures? If you can answer in the affirmative, most likely you have a team with high level of accountability. Otherwise, there's definitely room for improvement. I hope you have a very great day. It's been a pleasure spending this time with you, sharing these insights. Bye.